Cloud. All right, excellent. All right. Thanks everybody for coming and thanks for your patience with us already this morning. All right.
Or a little stand for the phone.
Pardon? Oh. Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. All right. So I've got a couple of things before we get to Mary's presentation, just a few business things. So I just want to talk a little bit about the quilt show and express the thanks of everybody. We had some volunteers who worked hard all weekend. It was an amazing show. And so thanks to everybody for submitting quilts, for volunteering at the show, for our answers. And you can, we did have
my computer, and I have a video chat going on with my partner.
Here we go. Don't have to ask her.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So we did have Dan, Kristen's husband, Dan, did take photographs of all of the quilts for us. It was before we got the labels on, so I don't have all of the identifiers on. So if on the photos, so if you go through the presentation and you see that your quilt is either misidentified or doesn't have any information on it, let me know and I'll update that presentation. So I sent out a link to the video that's on our YouTube channel. So you can have a look at all of the glorious quilts and the way or how it was set up at the quilt show. So our thanks to Dan for doing that for us. Everybody, I hope everybody had a chance to get to the show and enjoy the show. It was quite amazing. The staff there were so wonderful to work with. The Edgar and Joe staff. The cafe was just fabulous. All right. The executive team for 2024. I know that there are going to be a few openings. So if anybody is looking to volunteer, just let me know and we will welcome you to our executive. I know that Rachel, our treasurer, is stepping down. So if anybody in particular is interested in the treasurer role, and that's all done online. So and Rachel is happy to transition anybody into the roles. And there are a couple of other positions as well. We're having an executive meeting in the next couple of weeks, and so we can get that all nailed down and let you know what we specifically need help with. All right. MQG, the Modern Quilt Guild. You can still submit your entries to QuiltCon up until October 30th. So if you've got something that you'd like to submit for them, the submission process is all on their website. And I would love to see some quilts from our members at QuiltCon. I know we've got a few members that are going, so that would be fun to see our quilts there. It is an interesting process just to go through the jurying process to submit a quilt and to have it accepted or juried into the show is a fun thing too. The key, one of the keys is getting really good photographs, and there are presentations on the MQG website on tips for how to get a good photograph for those submissions. Also, we are also a member of the Canadian Quilters Association. We did join the CQA to purchase insurance for the guild for the show. It's also, we get more resources from them as well. The CQA Quilt Canada show is in next June. I think it's in Calgary, and there's submissions to their national jury show runs January 3rd to February 16th. So again, taking good pictures is the key there. It's also an easy online process to do that submission, and an honor to be accepted into either of these amazing shows. All right, I'm going to highlight. I'm going to spotlight. No, I didn't. Sorry, Linda, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to. Where did we go? In the gallery. Apparently, I'm not technical capable today. Where did my camera go? Oh. All right, we will try spotlighting that. Here we go. We have Mary. And I will share this presentation. There we go. We don't have you side by side.
That's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
That's no worries.
All right, go for it.
Okay. So you can't see me except for this group here, but what I wanted to say first was a very big thank you for those who helped make this a very successful trip. I took a lot of stuff with me to Ghana and we had 50 pounds each that we could take. So we took 100 pounds of stuff, which included scissors that were badly needed, rotary cutters, fabric, all sorts of things that we took that they appreciated. So it was really nice to have support from the modern kids. It was great. So I wanted to just let you know a little bit about what we did and why we did it. And so there's a picture of my daughter and I, and my daughter's on. Told her to chime in if I got off track too much. So anyway, this is just outside the Global Maz, which is where we spent most of our time in Cape Coast, which is about a 4-hour drive from the capital of Ghana, which is Accra. So for 17 days, we spent 3 days at the beginning and 3 at the end in Accra. And the middle part of the trip was with the Global Mamas. My role was to, one was to teach some quilting skills, basic quilting skills. And the other was to try and deal with the numerous masks that they had that they could no longer sell, and what were they going to do with them. So just to give you a little background history of this group, they have been around for about 20 years, and their purpose is to help women learn how to sew, to be part of a business, to help their families basically survive, help put their children through school, help provide basic living standard for their family.
Mary,
So
they're telling me that they can't hear you very well. Can you hold it up a little right close to your mouth?
this work a little better. That better? Can you hear me now? Response?
Louder, please.
Can you hear me now? I can speak louder. How's it going out there? Right, well, I'll go on. Anyway, this is a picture just outside the office at the Global Mamas. So that's a picture that the two of us were part, my daughter on the left, and we're wearing skirts that is something that they produce there. So we had these made for us. And so it was kind of nice to be able to show them off a little bit, some of their fabric, which is basically batik. That's what they use.
Darcy says as loud as you can.
Hey there. We can go on.
Yeah, you know what? I think it might be. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Okay, and I will
We'll go on.
advance this. Here we go.
Okay, so why go to Ghana in the first place? So we both love to travel and try new things, and my daughter has been there a couple of times with Operation Smile. She's quite a fan with that organization, and not just a fan, but a worker, and raises funds and through her own work with Johnson and Johnson. We're going to visit family. Darcy has a goddaughter there now. And so Kikola was a year and a half. So we wanted to meet her. And an opportunity to volunteer with the Global Mamas and just an opportunity to grow personally. It certainly was very much out of my comfort zone. Okay, that wasn't without some concern, certainly personal safety, when you're going to an area of the world that you're unfamiliar with, you wonder exactly what you're getting yourself into. That can be anywhere in the world. Potential disease and illness, malaria is prevalent in Ghana, so we had to deal with that, as well as yellow fever. You have to have that in a shot for that in order to even go to Ghana. And anything else we might have picked up along the way, I guess, more or less. Here we were, two white women traveling alone in a third world country. We were not on a tour. It was just the two of us. And what would we eat? Different food for sure. So here we are getting organized in my living room with all of this stuff. We took a Rubbermaid. We had all sorts of threads and rulers and all sorts of things that we took. Some we purchased, and some we had a lot of donations. So we connected with the Global Mamas to see what we could do. We booked our travel, got our yellow fever shot. You have to have a visa as well. And we reached out to all of you, to Quilt Guilds, colleagues, family, and friends for donations. And here we go. We started off on January 11th. There we are at Pearson, and then arriving in Ghana, the airport. And then there's our first hotel in Accra. And they had a very welcome drink for us, and it was very hot. It was a lot like a Western hotel, frankly. And so our first few days in Accra, we had the opportunity to go out and about with one of the ladies from Operation Smile. So there we are on the beach. Ghana's right on the Atlantic Ocean. And then there's a lovely market for fabrics. You could buy lots of fabrics. I wish I could have bought more. And then a street vendor, you can buy a coconut that they'll open up for you, and a nice refreshing drink. And there we are, there's a Global Mama store in Accra. So there we are there, and shopping. And the top picture is Kikola's family, Lincoln and Elizabeth. This was having lunch after church. We went to a wonderful church service and really enjoyed the visit. The music and a lot of laughter and good messaging. And here we are now on to Cape Coast. The picture on the left is down by the beach. These are fishing villages. And so these are the boats they use to go out to fish. And the middle picture is actually a view from our hotel in Cape Coast. So we were right on the beach, lovely spot. The other picture is on the right. And our room was the first room on the second floor, right over the bar. And Saturday night, it was lots of fun. So this is the Global Mamas. I won't read all of this to you, but this is their mission and their values. What they want to do. They believe in definitely a community feel. They're a very important group within this country. And they are a free trade organization. And there is actually one store in Vancouver. And there are lots of places in the States. And so you can go online even and buy products if you want to just Google them. Some visits to meeting the Global Mamas on the left. The woman in blue is Patience, and she's the lady who runs the organization. And the picture in the middle is when we were giving out some scissors, we had an opportunity, we had some money with us, donated to us. And the organization of LDH Scissors in Toronto were able to give us seconds that we purchased. And there's nothing wrong with the scissors, just maybe aesthetically, they need a little bit of work, but they work just fine. And so we took 15 pairs with us, and LDH was lovely enough to send us also free 15 clippers. And we took those along with us, and they were so widely received because the people in the quality control could now get those little tiny threads out. So they were very well received. And then there's Patience and I on the right. And I took along with me 15 thread catchers. I think we made them one time with plastic inside. And I took 15, and I guess that wasn't enough because we wound up making another 30. Anyway, they're shipped off there, as well as more scissors went along with that second package. And we took a boutique workshop, and there's me on the left. It was so hot that day, and we were under a canopy. And the woman who's helping teach and was teaching the class, her name was Mary as well. And so there I am standing with my little production, and I brought my skirt along that I actually had made it, took the fabric and made it. And then there's Darcy's on the right. She chose circles. And then it's dyed, and then it's laid out to dry. And there's a lovely young man who, I don't know how he does that, but he takes the fabric and takes the wax off so that they can reuse the wax. And it was so hot. He's over a fire trying to melt off this wax in a pot. So it was a hot day for him. So there he is in the middle. There's Mary on the left, rinsing out the dyes. Then finished product. Back behind them was a whole clothesline of another boutique that they had. And that's Mary's job, is to make boutique fabric for the Global Mom. So some of the things we did, the first job on the left was working in quality control and taking out some of those snips. And they're very fussy about their work. And then some of the ladies that we met, Darcy's role was to interview women for their annual review. So she met to talk with them. And the lady down with the placemat, that's Barbara, and she's the lady that teaches the women how to sew. And so we were trying to do something with those face masks. And so that was a few things we came up with. And a group on the left, that's in one of the homes where I was working with women. And the lady in blue, Abigail, that was my interpreter. And she went with me. English is a language, but some don't have a lot of education, so English becomes a little more difficult to follow. And there's Darce on the right with one of the families that she met.
I like the sewing machine too.
Yes, lots of sewing machines that are not electric. Singers that are electric. And then if you're really lucky, you started a little bit more into the business and you have an industrial sewing machine. And they had one of those in the office, first time for me using it, and boy, do they go fast. It's crazy to get used to. And so here's some of the things that are going on now. We're trying to help a little bit more with sewing machines. So those packages or boxes are all sewing machines coming from China. They have this lease to own idea that you can get a machine and you can pay the global mamas back as you work with them. So these sewing machines are $300 US funds. And so it's a real treat to have one of those for sure.
How long would it take for them to pay that back?
It's hard to say. The money's in their currency is CDs, which is basically 5-to-1. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, Darce. And
10-to-1.
10-to-1.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so yes, I can't give you really a timeline on it. I don't know, could be a few years really. So there were other things
Darcy
that we
says
did
3 to
as
5
well.
years.
Darcy's friends who takes pictures of children during Operation Smile. He came, he's a professional photographer, and he came to Cape Coast to take some pictures with us. So some of the pictures that you saw, he took those. These are called castles, and this wasn't very far from where we were actually staying. They're not really castles, but that's what they've been deemed. They're very large buildings, but these are the last places where slaves were held before they left to go to the Caribbean or go to South America. It was a very moving day for us. I still feel it quite a bit. Sorry, it's probably in my voice. Terrible, terrible circumstances. It was so overwhelming to be there. And there were actually 2 we visited. This was one, our young man with us, his name was Richard, gave us a lot of the history behind what was there. And the door of no return is what they labeled the last door to go out before you went on a ship for 3 months. Most people were held for 3 months. A lot of people didn't make it to the ship. So anyway, it was a very emotional day. We went to 2, one in Cape Coast and one in Almeida, which is about 40 kilometers away. Some other adventures, we did went to a weaver. This was after we left Cape Coast and went back to Accra. We did a lot of touristy type things. And one was meeting this man who constructed his own loom, and he used his toes to move the thread along or the yarn along. And I brought one of the cable runners that I bought. It's amazing. And if you can see the one picture where he's working on a very narrow piece. And that's as wide as it would go. It's about 6 to 8 inches wide. And then he joined them together. And there's a table of all his wares that he had set up for us to take a look at. So he sells them at his home, but he also sold them in a museum in Accra. We went to Cocoon National Park and walked through a rope bridge above. My daughter's not a big fan of heights, but she managed. And we met a few young men that were doing the walk with us. They were so helpful and helping me along. We managed to survive the canopy walk. Other things we did, tilapia and fufu. We ate a lot of tilapia. Full fish, grilled, head, tail, skin, bones. But you get really good at ripping out the bones, so, and it's delicious. Fufu is based on a corn base. They don't have a lot of wheat, so it's just something you scoop almost to pick up stews. We went to a savannah, and then here's another mama that we ran across as well. And we went to a botanical garden with some beautiful vegetation, gorgeous trees, and cinnamon as well. They were growing cinnamon and found unusual. It smelled so wonderful. And some of those trees have been planted actually by the British monarchy. The next picture is is a salt. That's all salt that is harvested, but it comes from the ground and just on the surface, and it's very black, it's almost muddy, and then the salt is there. The middle picture is us going on a boat that my husband saw the picture and said, "You're getting on that?" We went down the Volta River. It was a lovely trip. And then we also went to a bead making, so watched this man make beads and watched bead. And then we also went to, the last picture is one to a cocoa farm, actually tasting cocoa that is harvested there. This was the oldest farm, as you would call it, for cocoa in Ghana. It's quite tasty, actually, a little slimy, but it's quite tasty. So some of the learnings we got, they're far more accepting and welcoming than I expect. We're so different, but we all are human. I came home with a great deal of gratitude for where I live, who I'm at. And economically and physically, they definitely have far less than we do, but their spirituality and overall happiness is far greater. I was amazed, really. These people are extremely happy and not really thinking that things are any different anywhere else in the world. And prosperity is definitely subjective. What it means to be prosperous is different for everyone. So Doris made a comment, 3 to 5 years for the sewing machines. I should tell you too, that we just found out recently that one of the young women that I helped, she's now able to send her son to school. She's going to open a store. So she lived in circumstances that I would not have expected to see that happening. School is a big deal. Well, it's huge to have a child of yours going to school because you have to pay for it. And so in the mornings when we would walk from our hotel over to the Global Mama's office, you could see who was going to school and who wasn't, because they'd be in uniform. Child. That's a really huge experience for a family to be able to send their children to school. It was very interesting, very enjoyable for us. I did bring plenty table runner that this man had made, where we went to the Weavers. And so it. Not why, but it fits my table perfectly. Maybe. And
Is that embroidery author?
no, that's woven right in. As it goes, it's in the design. With toes. With his toes. Here's my lovely batik skirt. I didn't do too badly, but I don't think I passed the quality control for them for sure. And then other fabric that we bought, we had a skirt made. The fabrics are beautiful. I did bring home a lot. Much as we could bring anyway.
Are they bought?
Scott.
How many already got for combinations like this and something in May? Yeah, but it's.
It is. Yeah, really, we both really like that one, but yes, oranges and greens and brown. And I did bring back. Just a couple of things for door prizes. So we'll somehow figure out how we're gonna do that. Couple of back quarters, I chose a smaller print because I thought, well, maybe it can get cut up into a quilt because some of the large prints you never see them. And then this is an apron, and this is something that the Global Mamas made. So we bought a couple of aprons and wrap with us. And I love that they put on the label who made it. So this was made by Florence, and I met Florence. She is a lovely woman. So it's so nice to look at a label and say, oh, you that lady. She was definitely one of the more prolific sewers. You can see there's apprentices as well, but they don't get paid. They just learn. There's no payment for being an apprentice. So we met one. It was a wonderful experience. Some people have asked me, would I go again? And at first I said no. Now I think I might.
Do they get started? To the fabric or anything?
They start with blank white fabric, just like the petite workshop that we were in. They have bolts and they make their own petite design.
They done that round with the.
No, that's not petite. No, I have some. Darcy suggested they have a young designer. And he designed a lot of their fabrics that are petite. And one of them was bicycles. And so we bought a couple of shirts to take home with those for one for the guys. And then Darcy suggested him, you might like to do a dinosaur. So it wasn't that long. 2 days later, yep, there's a dinosaur design. And I actually have about 3 or 4 yards of that at home that they sent to us. Not quite sure what I'm doing. I guess making more shirts.
Sweet.
Much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Do you want to do the draw for, like we can do it with all of the members and I can mail out something if, yeah. So, Darcy, if you want to pick a number between, let me see. Okay, hang on a second. That's it. Still need that. I have a list of our members randomly between 1 and there we go, between 1 and 51.
33.
33. And 33 is Lynn Burke. You have two things there that you, three things? Okay. And another number?
27.
27. I was trying to do that is what I was trying to do. And one more number.
4.
4. Okay. So 27 is Alicia Turman. And number 4 is Marlene Davy, who's a new member. All right, super. So I can get those mailed out. Super. Thanks, Mary. That was amazing. That's a spectacular table runner. Yeah. Okay. Maybe while we have Darcy on the line, if you could pick out 2 more numbers between 1 and 51. We have a Quilted Boutique that sponsors 2 draws for us every month for a $20 gift certificate. So if you can pick out 2 more numbers for us between 1 and 51.
Sure. 19.
See? And one
and
more?
48.
48. All right. See who those go to. 19 is Angelina. And number 48 is Nora Boyd.
Did you ask her if she has anything she wants to say?
Yes, absolutely. Darcy, did you want to share anything with us about the trip?
Oh,
Or
I'm sure I'll just say something super quick because I'm sure you've got a lot of other things on your agenda today. But thanks, Mom. You did a great job. And thank you for being open as well. I think that's probably what I would add is just how proud I am of my mom for being open to doing that. When I first floated the idea, she was like, what? You want me to go to Ghana and you want me to do this? So she stepped way outside of her comfort zone, not only going to a foreign country and a continent she'd never been on, but also just recognizing, and I'm sure many of you are in the same boat, that you have wonderful skills that you can share with people, not only honing for yourselves and what you do, but that you can share with others and you can add value to other people's lives at the same time. So, and she did that. And I've heard many times from the women in Ghana how much they miss her and love her and how much they want to see her again. So I think we do have another trip to plan at some point in time, but that the impact that we can have as human beings on one another, it doesn't have to be monumental. It can just be sitting down for half an hour, sharing a different way of cutting or a different way of sewing. And people can take those skills and improve what they're doing to then ultimately change their livelihoods. And that's what these mamas do. My mom kind of glossed over what Global Mamas does. And I think that it's a fair trade organization. And I think as we shop in our consumers, we need to think about where we're buying our goods from and the impact that those manufacturers are having. It's Fair Trade Month actually right now. And by buying from people who are supporting the communities, your impact and your dollars can go really, really far and help those children go to school and help improve their lives. Because that's what the mamas are all about. That's what moms are all about, is improving the lives of their children so they can live a better life. And I think Global Mamas is achieving that every day by almost, I think 99% of all of the mamas, might even be 100 now, Mom, with that one little boy now going to school, but they all go to school. So if you're part of Global Mamas, all of their children get to go to school and then obviously get to go on and ideally have a life of prosperity that they wouldn't have if they didn't have that opportunity. So, and I just want to thank every one of you, because I know as we were packing up, it wasn't 100 pounds, Mom, it was 200 pounds, because it was 4 bags times 550 pounds. So I thought you were a math teacher at one point, but it was 200 pounds of things that we brought over. And that's because of all of you and your generosity too. So thank you. I can't hear you, Mom. I can see you making a crack, but I can't hear you. Anyway, thank you once again to Mom and to all of you for helping us support in a very small but meaningful way to women on the other side of the ocean and their families as well.
Thanks, Darcy. I appreciate you putting the presentation together for us as well. All right, super. Thanks so much, Mary. Any other questions? All right. I do have a show and share from
Just looking at this fabric as one of the shirts that we. Oh.
so Elaine Cook's in a couple of photos for show and share. So she took a class with Stash Fabric and Notions all about making circles and gentle curves. I know, isn't that gorgeous? And then with the leftovers from that class, I love these strips of gentle curve stripes. Yeah. And this is a nice improv. Oh, you can't see the mouse. Sorry, a nice improv curve up at the top there too. And then with her scraps, she made coasters using David Owens Hastings stuff. There you go. And Lindsay has a show and shares. This is so
After
cool.
several months delay, I have finally brought a copy of my book for the library. And I have another copy if somebody wants to buy it. I know some people prefer not to buy things on Amazon, but you can find it on Amazon if you want to buy it as well. So
Super.
it is called Pieces of Memory. It is about the 10-year-old girl whose grandmother dies, and she deals with her grief kind of badly, but then she goes to a book retreat, and so that's the whole framing device. So it's topical as well as just my thing. So
Super. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, can you tell us, Lindsay, about the publishing process?
so Amazon has
Closer to the mics here.
this thing called Kindle Direct Publishing. So I just wrote this all in a Word document and I uploaded it and I made this little quote and I put it onto their cover design thing. And then you get a book. So yeah, and you don't have to like spend $1,000 or like buy 100 copies. They print off as many as you want. I did put in my bank account wrong, and I've had a heck of a time getting paid. But it's not making like a lot of money. I've made like $100, but I've got my couple of vanity copies so I can like see my name in print, and that makes me happy. And I was briefly number 5th most popular Canadian middle grade fiction for like a whole day on Amazon. Which is not a huge category, but still.
Super. Thanks.
Amazon just prints them for you. Like you just order as many as you want, and like you can, like if you bought one, they just print one for you and send it to you. Yeah, so like you don't have to do them in a big batch, which is the benefit of it, because I didn't want to have like dozens of these sitting around making me sad. So I have a couple for myself, and that's good.
Nice. Super. Super. Any other show and share? Did everybody see my coat at the coat show?
It's full of you. Lovely.
Not on that.
But that has wood too.
Yes, yes.
So, here we go. So, this is the.
It's not on there yet. We will try something else here. We will. Why? Oh, we're back to the room.
What's actually weird?
So Senator Thomas taught a class for the how to put filters field. She did a trunk show for us and then she did a class for us. And so I had set up for that class. And I felt this fabric, which is a warehouse district. And very, very abstract, and I love all the colors in it. So I pulled all of these colors are you can go with this and complement this. And used the Sarah Brewer's workshop on all the things. And so I used. Yes, skinny strips. I love skinny strips.
So is the quilt made? And then you cut it up?
Exactly. So you make so you do little quilts. And then you watch them dry and breathe. So that they've got this beautiful, crinkly, you know, the and then you have the pieces from those.
So you're not making huge quilt, you're.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, is this the back, on the backing, it's all consistent, okay.
Right. Clean.
Yeah, and then you have to sort of. Patch together by hand, get the back on the lining. After you sew the body and then. Done using the method that you use for quilts when you quilt as you go. type thing. Okay.
Yeah, so, we covered over, like, where the seam is. And it's, yeah. It's, right, right, which is Noel's jackets. We can put added onto it. Sandra has it, it is a print, and so that you could pick any, jacket pattern. And as long as it doesn't have darts. And the fewer pieces as possible, so that you're not. Two of the ladies made, theirs from, books they got from the thrift store. Yeah, so being able to purpose of that. It's called this full program really make jacks like that, full books. Right, it's like, and, yeah, and, at the book show, look at Tammy from Cook Kitchen, she wore hers, the whole, and I forgot the name of it again, remember the name of the initiative? The Goodwill and Franchise College. Yeah, joint venture, yeah. Oh, see the word. There's, you can buy them online, but they also have a store. Yeah, so you can. And they've got hooks and they've got jackets and they've got all kinds of things that you can. So it was the one. It was a one day, which we had, a couple, do meetings before to make sure that everything was correct. Yeah. And of course, the workshop was in June. And I wasn't getting it done and ready for the book show, so I asked them to finish. I had a lot of it, but I didn't have them finishing them. Did you finish?
Oh, nice.
I feel pretty slow. All right.
And it's nice and cozy too. Perfect for this time of year. At the quilt show, Rose, Bowlby's husband has made these beautiful ruler stands for quilting rulers, and we didn't have these for sale, but we didn't sell all of them. So, there's some that are designed for quilting, like the 1/4" quilting rulers as well. So if anybody would like to purchase these, Rose has donated them to the guild. So if anybody would like to purchase these, let me know and we can arrange that. For you. Yeah, we had different prices on them at the quilt show, and I think that was a little bit confusing. So think $20 is pretty very, very reasonable and fair. And if anybody would like one, it's $20. Okay, super. Okay. Any other questions, comments from the gallery? Any questions from online?
Oh.
Yes, you'll have to unmute if you have questions. All right. So not seeing any, I will stop the recording.